Okay, so things just got crazy with the Eagles completely shaking up the defense as they made an extremely unexpected switch at the defensive coordinator position now 15 weeks into the regular season. So how different will the defense look against the Seahawks tomorrow night, and will this switch pay off? Also, the Eagles got some potentially terrible news on Jalen Hurts as his status for Monday night is now in question. So with all this crazy news coming out, what are the chances that the Eagles still come out of Seattle with a win? Well, we're going to talk about all that in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So entering the Eagles matchup with the Seahawks on Monday night, we know how crucial it is. The Eagles are coming off 2 straight blowout losses, which have seemingly caused a panic in Philadelphia, while the Seahawks, meanwhile, are a 6-7 football team who've been competitive, but they've also struggled to be consistent and win some tough games, and they're still fighting for a chance to remain in the playoff hunt on Monday night, while the Eagles are trying to right the ship and bounce back and still give themselves a chance at the NFC East title, and of course, the coveted number 1 seed in the NFC, so this is no doubt a huge matchup for the NFC playoff picture. Now, all week, we've pretty much heard the same sort of message coming from the Eagles. They've basically just said they need to stay focused, to stay locked in, and just focus on each and every single day and the things that they can control. Now, multiple guys like Jason Kelce have also said that they're pissed off and they're eager to go in and make the corrections and make the changes that they need to make in order to right the ship. And they've also said that they're not hitting the panic button. At least Nick Sirianni did back during his press conference on Thursday, which is pretty interesting, and that statement may remain true. But as the saying goes, actions speak louder than words, and the Eagles' actions this week kind of at least send the message of a team that is in panic mode, as they secretly made a huge change to the defense this week. And it's because simply they've been really bad. I mean, they're last in the NFL in third down defense. They're towards the bottom in red zone defense. Their pass defense has been one of the worst in the NFL all year. And they're overall 23rd in points per game. And yes, at times they've flashed how good they really can be. You think back to that game against Miami where they played really well. They played well against the Chiefs in the second half of that game. Against the Buccaneers earlier in the season, they were pretty dominant. But just overall, the defense has been a huge disappointment. They haven't been able to get off the field. They haven't taken the football away. They've just been bad. And it's inexcusable with the amount of talent that they have on that side of the ball. And I definitely think it's pretty clear that coaching and play calling have been one of the main problems for them and have been a big cause of their struggles. I mean, Sean Desai's situational play calling on third down and in the red zone, as we talked about, has just been brutal, and overall, his game plans have not been good enough. Oftentimes, the defense comes out looking unprepared and just not ready to go, so overall, it was clear that Sean Desai was not getting the job done as the defensive coordinator and play caller. And that's why this week, the Eagles apparently went out and secretly made a huge change at both those positions, and it was extremely shocking, as according to reporter Jay Glazer, quote, Philly very quietly made a change at defensive coordinator this week, moving out Sean Desai and replacing him with Matt Patricia. Desai remains with the team in different capacity, but Patricia now runs and calls the defense. And John Clark expanded on this report saying, quote, the Eagles have seemingly made a major change at defensive coordinator, according to @Jay Glazer. Assistant coach Matt Patricia will now be calling the defense and running the defense, and he will do it from the sideline. Defensive coordinator Sean Desai has been moved up to the coaching booth and will coach another position now, according to Jay. Eagles have the worst third down defense and third worst red zone defense in the NFL and have given up the second most passing touchdowns in the NFL. They have given up 33 or more points in each of the last 3 games. Now, this is a lot to say the least, and it's also definitely very shocking, especially with Sean Desai only being the Eagles' defensive coordinator for just 13 games.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
I mean, for a 10-3 football team that has beaten some really good football teams and clearly still has a very real shot at the division title and the number 1 seed, it's just crazy to see them making a change this big, this late into the year, but I can't say it's not warranted. Like I said, Sean Desai has not gotten the job done. His scheme and play calling more than likely would be completely exposed in the playoffs, and the Eagles, whether it be owner Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman in the front office that made this decision, or it was Nick Sirianni himself, they saw this and they decided to make a switch. So now, this defense belongs to Matt Patricia, who the Eagles hired back in April as a senior defensive assistant. Now, there was some backlash with the hire because of his relationship with Pro Bowl cornerback Darius Slay back when Patricia was the head coach of the Lions, and Slay was obviously still with the Lions, but the notion of there being any real drama was squashed pretty quickly by Nick Sirianni and Darius Slay himself. Now, quick side note, people are now making it seem like the whole reason Darius Slay is out this week and decided to get surgery this week specifically was because Patricia was promoted to defensive coordinator, which I honestly highly doubt. I mean, sure, the relationship between the two is definitely not great, but I still highly doubt that Patricia's promotion to defensive coordinator had anything to do with Slay deciding to get surgery specifically this week. But still, now that Patricia is in a much bigger role, this is going to be a dynamic you have to keep your eye on as the season moves forward. And as I said in my video yesterday, Slay is expected back later in the season, so again, something to keep your eye on. But getting back to Patricia, he has had a pretty good amount of success in this league as a defensive coordinator and play caller. I mean, in his time as a defensive coordinator in New England, his defense is ranked 9th, 10th, 8th, 10th, 1st and 5th in opponents' points per game, and the Patriots also won 2 Super Bowls, 2 AFC championships, and 6 AFC East titles during that stretch, and Patricia was the one calling the plays. Now, that being said, you do have to remember that Bill Belichick is the head coach in New England, and that's largely his defensive system, so you have to wonder how much of the success should be attributed to Patricia, especially when you see that Patricia, when he went to Detroit as their head coach, their defenses were not good at all. So again, this is all stuff you got to think about. But regardless of all that, I mean, you can't deny that this is just a wild situation, but I gotta say, I kind of like it. I mean, again, Desai was not getting the job done, and if we continued on with him as the defensive coordinator, the defense was probably going to get destroyed anyway in the playoffs, so I think making the switch might have been the only hope that the Eagles had of actually fixing some of these major problems, and I completely agree with this take by Eagles Fan Central on Twitter, who said, quote, "I actually have more faith in Matt Patricia purely as a defensive coordinator than Sean Desai. Not upset by this move at all. I get this might feel like panic, but let's just see. It can't get much worse than our defense has been the last 6 games. I mean, like he said, it can't get much worse than these last 6 games, so I'm ready to give Patricia a shot. Now, I don't know how different the defense is going to look this week, because this change did just happen, but I guess we'll see on that, and we'll also see if this change ends up working out in the end. But that being said, what do you guys think? Are you a fan of the change to make Matt Patricia the defensive coordinator? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now, to get into the other big news of the day for the Eagles, we now look at Jalen Hurts, who unexpectedly missed practice yesterday with an illness, but it was said that he was still expected to play on Monday night, and he wasn't listed on the injury report with any sort of designation for the game. But then you fast forward to the next day, which is today, and Adam Schefter has now reported that, quote, "Eagles are downgrading QB Jalen Hurts to questionable for Monday night's game in Seattle after his sickness worsened overnight," per a source. Hurts still is harboring hopes of playing Monday night and is traveling to Seattle separately from the team so as to try not to get anyone else sick. Now, I don't gotta say it, we know that this is terrible news. Without Jalen Hurts, I mean, the chances of the Eagles winning this game against a pretty tough Seahawks team dramatically decrease. Now, I will say that Jalen Hurts, being who he is, he's gonna fight to play in this game. There's no question about that. It's definitely a great sign that he traveled to Seattle, and there are reports saying again that he's hoping to play, so let's just hope that's actually what ends up happening, because without him, the Eagles could be in big trouble. I mean, this game is crucial. The Eagles most likely have to win it if they want to hope at winning the NFC East and still having that #1 seed, and we know that getting those home playoff games are super important. So again, let's all hope and pray that Hurts can go versus Seattle, and I personally think he's going to play. He knows the magnitude of this game, he knows how important it is, and as long as he physically can play, he will play. And who knows, maybe this turns out to be Jalen Hurts' flu game. Now, with all that being said, can we just acknowledge how the Eagles have managed to do this to us on a non-game day Sunday? I mean, I thought I was just going to be able to sit back and relax a little bit, not having to worry about all the stress that the Eagles put me through every single week when I watch them play. But yeah, now here we are. I'm sitting here making a video on how our starting quarterback might not play tomorrow, and also how we've switched our defensive coordinator. As far as game predictions go, though, I'm going to just assume that Jalen Hurts plays and take the Eagles to win by a score of 30-21. But with that being said, what do you guys think? Give me your score predictions down in the comments, and also let me know what you think about the Matt Patricia change to being the defensive coordinator. Also, if you did enjoy this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe, and also, really importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss when any of these videos are uploaded. Also, drop a like down on this video if you want to help show some support. And if you want to watch another video talking about how Kevin Byard was kind of ahead of the Eagles in taking away responsibility from Sean Desai, as he specifically took over the game plan on defense this week, then you can go check that out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.